Hello everybody, this is going to be a low-key, unscripted video that's going to cover a bunch of updates about me, my video games, and this channel. I'm going to discuss a surgery that I had recently on my nose, and then I'm going to talk about some problems I'm having with some posters in my game room. I'm going to discuss 2 games I've been playing on the PS4, and 1 game I've been playing on the Switch. I'm going to go over some recent purchases I've made for the Sega Genesis and PS1, and I'm going to show you footage from all those games. And finally, I'm going to discuss a future video, a very important video that I'm going to be working on after this one. So let me first talk about the surgery that I just had. It's been about 2 weeks now. You might notice that my voice is different, and that's because I'm still recovering. For the past 3 years, I had issues regarding the airways of my nose. Basically, I was having trouble breathing through my nose. It was very uncomfortable, like all the time. So I went ahead and got a septoplasty. As part of that, she also reduced the size of my turbinates. I'm probably saying that word wrong. Basically, the doctor went inside my nose and straightened out the airways. I had to wear this stuff under my nose because the first few days after the surgery, the nose is bleeding. Now, what you can't see is inside my nose, I have some splints. And what these are giant pieces of plastic. They're meant to hold the airways open as everything heals. After 1 week, those came out, and I'm still in a recovery phase. I will say it was a very intensive thing to do. If you're thinking about doing this yourself, you really have to understand that you're gonna have to go through this long period of discomfort that comes with the surgery. So I wouldn't say it was painful. It was obviously very uncomfortable because the splints are in the nose and all that gunk inside your nose kind of builds up around the splints, but you can't really blow your nose. That could cause you to bleed. It takes weeks to recover from this surgery, so I can already breathe a lot easier than I could before. So moving on, I'm going to discuss the poster situation in the game room. I did some renovations where I painted the wall. I took down a lot of my posters and framed some of them and put them back up. But the problem is that the bottom of the frames for some of the posters hangs down behind the setup. So the posters are partially obscured by the setup itself. It's something I did not anticipate. The posters I had up there before did not have a frame around them, so they didn't go down as much. And these are I'm only talking about the posters that are in portrait, not the ones that are in landscape. So what I'm going to do in front of you today is replace those posters with landscape posters so that the view is not obscured. So first I removed the portrait posters. I bought some new frames and ordered some new posters. The frames I got are 16 by 24. That's the same size as the ones that were on the wall. And then I went on eBay and ordered some posters. So I put the posters in the frames, and that part takes a long time to do. There's all these little tiny tabs that I have to pull up. I got a Ghouls and Ghost one, a Fantasy Star for the Master System one, a Sonic the Hedgehog poster, a Ninja Gaiden poster, and this is by far my favorite poster ever. This is a scene from the first Ninja Gaiden game. I remember seeing it at the time and was amazed by the cutscene in the game. Whoever did this did it very well. There's not a loss of detail at all. And finally, a Street Fighter 2 poster. And then I started putting them on the wall. and here's what it looks like now. I think it looks wonderful. I didn't have to move any nails or anything. I just hung landscape posters on the existing nails that were there for the portrait ones. There's a few spacing issues here and there that makes it look a little uneven. I might fix that later. Another weird thing is that over time I've bought 2 different types of frames, so some of them are thicker than the others. One day I might go through and just replace it all with the same type of frame, but right now I've already spent enough money on it and it doesn't look that bad anyway. So I'm very happy with the way that turned out. It's time to start talking about some games I've been playing. So during my time away from work to recover for the surgery, I played a lot of video games. It helped me get through some of the discomfort because when your mind is on a game, you tend to not focus on your physical discomfort. It only works to a certain extent. If you're very uncomfortable or in a lot of pain, I don't think it would work. But anyway, I've been playing 2 PS4 games. Let me talk about the first one, and that's called Geometry Wars Dimensions Evolved. There's been a lot of different Geometry Wars games, like 4 or 5 of them. It started as a mini-game on an Xbox game called Project Gotham Racing 2. Geometry Wars Galaxies came out on the Wii and the DS, and I do own those, but I've never played them. So I bought this new one at a game store when I was on vacation several months back. It was very cheap, and it seemed like a game that would appeal to me. However, when I started playing it, I have to be honest, I was very bored. You're just sitting there shooting shapes, and it did not appeal to me. But I kept playing it, and at some point, something clicked in my brain, and I became addicted to the game. What really hooked me was the fact that if you're playing campaign mode, you slowly get more powerful the more you play the game. Because you get to upgrade your secondary abilities, and you have this little bot that follows you around that you can upgrade as well. So it was just a blast to play. After a few weeks, I got my fill of it, and I don't have much of a desire to go back to it. I wasn't able to 100% it or anything, but I did get through quite a bit of the game. I'm done playing it for now. I'll probably go back to it another day. If you have a PS4 and you see this one on the shelf somewhere, you might want to give it a try, and you also might want to give it some time, because like I said, for me, it took some time to like it. The other PS4 game that I'm playing is Titanfall 2, and this one I've only had for 1 week, and I absolutely love it. If you're not familiar with the game, it's a first-person shooter, basically, just like a lot of games nowadays. I like to play online multiplayer for these types of games. I played an embarrassing amount of Killzone Shadowfall and Rainbow Six Siege on the PS4, so I was looking for something cheap and that was similar to those games. And this game is just awesome. So what you're seeing here is the multiplayer. And basically at the start, you're running around shooting each other. And as you earn points, you eventually get a Titan, which is a giant mech that falls from the sky. And you jump in that, and you battle each other in those things. It's a very fast-paced game. It's a lot for the brain to take in. I'm not very good at it yet, but over time it becomes easier to play. But my strategy is just to keep running around until I bump into somebody and then just shoot them. Now this game is about 3 years old, so you might be wondering why jump into a game so late in its life cycle. And I'll just say this, I recommend doing it that way. When a new game comes out and has online multiplayer, don't get it. Wait till the crowds die down, wait till the programmers work out the bugs and balance the game, and wait till the price drops. And you also get a bunch of new maps and stuff when you buy it later. What you'll find is there's communities that keep playing these games long after the rest of the public has moved on to something else. You're going to meet a lot of people who are veterans who just play the game for the love of it. Now, they're going to be good, and you're going to get clobbered the first time you do it. But that wasn't a big problem with this game. You're going to be able to get kills because you're going to be able to catch people off guard like I'm doing in this video. By the way, if you're familiar with Apex Legends, that is basically a... what do you call it? That started off as Titanfall 3, and when they saw the success of PUBG, they altered the game and just came out with a new game, and Apex Legends is now played by millions of players. There's still thousands playing Titanfall 2, but you could probably see the writing on the wall for the Titanfall series. There's no reason for them to release a Titanfall 3 since Apex Legends gets them millions and millions of dollars. But we'll see. Hopefully there will be one day. If you're into first-person shooters, I highly recommend this game. The next game I'm going to talk about that I'm currently playing is Axiom Verge. It's basically an 8-bit style game that's reminiscent of Metroid. It could almost be its own Metroid game. And I am loving this game. I haven't been progressing through it as fast as I would like because I started playing too many games at once. And I've mostly been playing Titanfall. But this is a great game to play on the couch. But it also looks great on the big TV as well. So I don't have much to say about it other than I love the tone of the game, and I love the style of the graphics.
Space survey ship Argo is impounded by SDRAF coalition forces. 3 ships are destroyed in the ensuing police action.
So now I'm going to pivot to some games that I've purchased recently. I'm not really playing these games right now, but I probably will be sometime in the next year or so. First of all, I bought the 2 G-Police games on the PS1, and these are games that were made by the same people who made the Colony Wars series. If you've looked at my channel before, you'll notice that I have reviewed all 3 Colony Wars games, which I liked, by the way. So I was very curious about these. The footage you're seeing here is just test footage. I don't know how to play it very well yet, so it's going to be a little rough. But this is the first game, G-Police, and to be honest, it looks horrible. There's a lot of pop-up with the buildings and stuff, and it's very hard to control. And there's people shouting at you to do things, and it's very hard to figure out what you need to do.
Destroy that fighter before you proceed.
But I've been through games like this, and once I learn the complex controls and everything, I will probably end up enjoying this. I like these futuristic games that are on the PS1. Everything looks just so dark. And this is the sequel, G-Police Weapons of Justice. You can immediately tell that the graphics are better. They kind of solved the pop-in problem by giving everything a wireframe when it's far in the background. I only played this for a few minutes, and once again, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I can say it looks like a lot better of a game. I could see how this became Colony Wars. I look forward to going through these 2 games in the future. Maybe I'll do a review of both of them. And now I'm going to cover some Genesis games that I bought recently. And the first one is Demolition Man. Once again, all the footage you're seeing is me just testing the game out, so I'm not very good at it yet. But this is basically a side-scrolling shooter, and it looks like it's very well made. There are overhead sections in this game as well, which you won't see here. The jumping is a little wonky, so that'll take some getting used to. In the end, I think this is going to be an excellent game. And next is a shoot 'em up, and if you've been to this channel before, you know I love shoot 'em ups. I have more reviews of those than any other genre. I'm not too impressed with this one, but I still like it. You could push a button that turns you into a mech, and then you push it again and it turns you back into a spaceship. I'm not sure how much strategy this adds to the game. The spaceship felt better to me, so I stayed in that form for a very long time. So the background doesn't really change that much. That's what disappoints me the most. But I could see myself going through this entire game one day. Next up is Bimini Run, and this is a rebuy of a game I had when I first got my Sega Genesis in the 1990s. It's a boat game, obviously, and I can't quite remember how to play it. I do remember enjoying it quite a bit back in the days, and we'll see if it still holds up. I like the look of the water, and it feels like you're really in the boat. There's actually a 2-player co-op where one person fires the weapons and the other one drives the boat. So maybe I'll get my wife to play this with me someday. And finally, the last game that I purchased is Master of Monsters. And this is one of my favorite genres as well, which is turn-based strategy. I will say this one looks very primitive compared to the other games that I've played in this genre. And I did test this for quite a bit and I could not figure out how to play it. I never figured out how to move my guy. I could barely even end my turn. One day I'm going to push myself into this game and read the manual and figure out how to play it. For the most part, these kind of games are usually addictive, so we'll see if this one ends up being that way. The animation is choppy and it just looks like a very early computer game. And finally, I'm going to talk about a future video. I am going to make a top 10 list, and it's going to be my top 10 favorite game systems of all time. It's a video I'm going to take very seriously. It's going to be scripted. I'm going to show a lot of footage in it. It's not going to be the 10 greatest systems of all time. It's basically the game systems I enjoy the most when I play them today. I'm not going to give away what systems are going to be on the list. I will say I know what number 1 and number 2 are going to be, and those two systems keep flipping in my mind. I keep thinking, oh, that one should be number 1 instead of number 2, and so forth, and I keep switching them back. But eventually I'm going to flesh out the details, and I'm going to do my best to make it very entertaining. So thank you for making it to the end of the video. Hopefully my voice didn't sound too rough for you. There's a couple of cool videos on the screen. Click those if they interest you. If not, I'll see you next time.